Ever come across a really dark room or really bad lighting and you just didn't know how to navigate it? Today I'm gonna break down a few simple essentials for using a flash indoors. With me, I have the Godox V1N, and this is the one that we are going to be navigating. This is my holy grail. I love it, use it for literally all of my weddings and indoor sessions. So what we have attached right here is just one of the domes. So this is a little dome diffuser that magnets on there. So that just helps diffuse the light a little better, but we're gonna take that off for the duration of this. So as soon as you turn on your flash, what you can see here is it is in manual mode. So that M means we are in full manual of this flash. And as you can see, it's not attached to my body right now. But when it is attached, it will sync your aperture settings. So a very important part to the flash is what your focal length will be. So I always have it in automatic when I have a zoom lens on, but when I have a fixed lens like a 35 or a 50 on, I will actually adjust that to the focal length. When I have a 35 on, I will go to zoom, so you just click up and then you're gonna navigate it to find whatever focal length you're on, so I'll click 35. And what that does right there, it diffuses the light of how wide it should go. So when it is 35 millimeters, it will diffuse the light for 35 millimeters, opposed to like a wider angle lens where it's like 28 and diffuses this way, and so on, so on. So as the focal length gets bigger, it will start going in and in and in. So it just helps your flash know what focal length you're shooting and how much it should be diffusing the light. Another main thing when shooting manual in flash is you want to know what your shutter is. So the difference between the 1/128 and all the way down to 1/1 is the amount of power that comes out of the flash. So if I click this plus and minus right here, this is where I'm going to change it. I can move the dial and really slightly change it there, or I can also click up and down to go jump a little bit higher. So if I go all the way down to 1/1, this is the highest flash power that you can possibly do on this flash. So if I click this, that was a lot. I don't know if you heard that bulb, but it really popped. And this, when you're shooting 1/1, it's gonna need a lot more power time. So if I click this like 5 times consecutively, it's gonna need some recharge time before it can actually set off the flash again. So if we were to do the opposite and go 1/256, so that's the highest one that you could go. This one, did you see that it didn't give off as much flash, so it doesn't need as much recharge time between it, so you can constantly click that as fast as you want and it's not going to need that recharge time. When it is recharging, this button right here, instead of being green, it will turn red and it will not be powering any flash from here until it goes green. So that's why for weddings I like to stick between, depending on the lighting, and then adjusting my camera settings instead of adjusting my flash. What I will do is bring it to 132 if it's really dark, but that still will leave me not enough shutter to go in between those moments that are really fast and I need to click the flash really fast. So I try to opt in for at least 1/64 or 1/128, because those are going to be the shutters that I can click really fast without worrying about the recharge time on the shutter. So for example, when the wedding party is entering the reception, you're in the hall or the tent or whatever, you're gonna have to be taking a lot of photos. So to use the full power flash, you're gonna need like at least like 5 to 10 seconds between that, and a lot can happen in 5 to 10 seconds when coming in an entrance or any fast-paced things like that. Now the different modes, so we just covered a bit about the manual mode. And once this is on your body, it's going to sync to your shutter on your camera. So as soon as you take a photo, your flash goes off at the same time, so you don't have to click this button and your shutter on your camera. You just hook this on and point it in whatever direction you want. For me, as far as weddings go, I only shoot directly on. So if you were my subject, and I would never shoot this way unless I was 1/128 or higher. So I would be 128 or 256 because that is really blinding. Like that was the lowest power that I could do, and that's pretty blinding. So the only time I do that is when I'm doing shutter drag. So we will touch base on a bit of shutter drag. With the shutter drag, what you like to do is point it directly at your subject, and then your camera settings are going to be 1/6, and you're going to adjust your aperture. I think it's like around like 5 or 6 aperture, and then adjusting your ISO down or until you have like a good exposure. So just playing around with the settings, but you want the low shutter speed on your camera because this is where the drag is going to come in. So you're going to shoot right directly ahead. So what the flash will do is, so you don't have to worry about blurry photos. It's going to actually capture the subject. So it's going to be dark out, it's going to be the reception, it's going to be like fairly dim, and the flash is actually going to freeze whatever, whenever it flashes off, it's going to freeze whatever is in that moment, and then as the shutter is still going, you can move your camera and it's only capturing light. So I hope that makes sense. It's a little bit harder to explain, but the flash freezes whatever it flashes on as it comes off, and then the rest of the shutter, so when it's 1/6, it's more than just like one quick second. It's going to hold that, and then you're going to be moving your camera and it's gonna get all the light. So what I do is I like to take it like this and just swipe it, swipe it, swipe it. So then you get cool shutter drag photos like these. Pretty freaking cool. So those are really fun party shots that you can do, like when the reception's kind of over and everyone's on the dance floor. That's when I like to pull out the shutter drag. Now, the other mode is the TTL. So this is basically the automatic mode of a flash. So if you have no idea how to use a flash, you could opt into TTL. I've personally always used manual because I like to control what my camera's doing, what my flash is doing. I'm a full manual person, so I like to have full control over what is going on because I know the exact scenario I'm in and what I need in that moment. Another thing about bouncing light is, so now we're not going to be doing shutter drag. What you're going to be doing is bouncing the light. So this will be facing me on my camera, so it slides in my hot shoot. This is how it would go on, and what I would do is bounce it off the ceiling so it can bounce off and whatever my subject is, or I can bounce it off the wall behind me and it shoot this way. You don't want to always shoot directly because it doesn't give that nice contrast to like the flash look. Opposed to like bouncing it, you can get these nice soft shadows and it's going to diffuse the light like a lot better on your subjects opposed to just absolutely blowing them out. These are going to be parts where you can use them at like first dances, speeches, anything indoors that you want to have an actual nice photo for. And using flash, you can use a lower shutter because that, like I said, that flash is going to grab that subject because it's going to grab the light. But if it's a pre-lit area, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So you want to make sure you're adjusting your shutter accordingly to the light. And that's just a little bit of a rundown on the Godox flash and how to use it for weddings and how I like to use it. Let me know if you found this helpful, and I would be happy to touch base on anything else that you guys want. Subscribe and follow for more photography tips.